to me your secrets, show me your nightmares. All cats are gray in the dark, dear, whether or not you dare.
Welcome to All Cats Are Gray in the Dark. I'm your host, April Simmons. This podcast contains true cases of graphic violent crimes and other stories of a dark nature. Please be advised that due to the subject matter and violent, sometimes sexual content and obscene language, this podcast is not for children or the faint of heart.
All right, we're here again. La la la.
Hello, everybody.
I sound like Mr. Bill.
Hello.
Did you just meow?
Yes.
We have a very special guest.
Very special.
Very special. It's my sister, Sabrina.
She's so special. All right, too many specials.
You need to talk louder. You're talking really low. That's you talking.
Talk hard.
Yes, talk hard. We're going to talk about some ghost stories today because we got plenty of them from our life. Our grandma was a medium.
I'm
Not a large, but a medium.
I'm an extra large.
Yeah, I'm pushing like 1X these days. I don't know.
Let's not talk about sizes.
Those are different kinds of ghosts we deal with day to day.
Yeah, now I'm depressed. See,
Now I want like those ghost-shaped sugar cookies. Those are really good.
Just food.
I just want some candy corn M&Ms because it is getting close to Halloween.
Yeah, so listening to you guys' episode so far, I'm pretty sure food and wanting food has been brought up in every single episode. I'm pretty proud.
I had not noticed that, but probably
because we're
like chicken in one episode.
We're
and just talking
foodies.
about how much food
We love food.
It's my people.
All of
So
my friends have had the weight loss surgery except me because I still like food. I want.
That's
to eat
why I
all
won't
the
get
food.
it either because I'm scared I'll just go back to eating like that and then I'll kill myself or something. Because
Yeah, like there's
I
your
know
half
people
stomach
that
that's
have-
left will explode.
yeah,
or
I know
something.
people that have had like gastric bypass and it messed up their health because they went right back to eating the same. Like it.
Yeah, I have zero self-control, so there's no way I can do anything like that. Just no way.
All right. Tell us. I guess we'll start out with your most recent ghost.
Yes. So, we've been in this house now about a year. It was only built in 1989, so we're not talking like an old house or anything special about it. It's in, surrounding areas, blah, blah, blah. The last owners had it from 98 to 2018, and we've been in there, that year. Nothing's happened up until the last, month. So the first occurrence was just me, cleaning off my bathroom counter, and I hear my husband talking to me. And I turn around to say something, because he said something smart-ass to me like he normally does. And I turn around and no one's there. So then I'm like, okay, he must have walked into the bathroom, or walked into the bedroom. So then I walk into the bedroom and no one's there. And I walk through the rest of the house, and he's outside, and no one else is home. But it sounded just like him. It sounded like the normal shit he says to me, like, must be nice, or clean that shit up. I don't know. Something stupid, I'm sure. And so that just freaked me out. So I told him about this. And then when his brother got home from work one day, we're telling him about it. He's like, what the fuck? You heard shit? That's crazy. So we were all talking about ghosts and shit like that and scaring the shit out of himself like normal. Then I go to the bedroom shortly after this conversation, and I go to plug in my phone, and then I realize my charger was in the other room, so I go back and get my charger, and I come back into the bedroom, and what looked like a head peeking around my bathroom door, ducks back behind the door and says, oh shit, she's coming. And then
I would be thinking the same thing. Oh shit, there's something there.
So I just, immediately did a U-turn and just walked right back out, because I'm not one of those who's like, let me go see what that was. I'm like, oh shit, get the fuck out of here. Nope. So I go get my husband, and I tell the brother about it too, and so they come back in there, and they're turning on lights for me, and I'm just like holding my phone like I can call the police on some ghosts, right? So I go back in there, and we check on everything. And of course, my shower like is enclosed; it's like tile, so like I always turn that light on. Looking in there, it's already scary and dark in there anyway. And then the mildew on the door, you can't see through that shit anyway. But we check everything out. Of course, my husband decides to hide in the closet later that night and scare the shit out of me anyway.
Oh, what a dick.
He's one of those, like, we'll be laying in bed, I'm getting ready to fall asleep, and he'll just, like, look behind me, like, in the corner of the room, like, oh my god, what is that? And I beat the shit out of him. And cry a little bit, and then I eventually sleep days later.
He's a little bit more of a skeptic too, so I think that's partially why. I think he's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Oh no, well he is totally a skeptic, but at the same time, he will scare the shit out of himself by scaring me. So that he'll lay there not able to sleep. He'll do too good of a job creeping me out to where we're both like, damn, how do we go to sleep now? But okay, so this happens. We've checked everything out. Nothing happens. It still was the height of my husband. Sounded like my husband. That's the creepiest part. So then, the very next day, we're talking, these are like back to back in the same week. My husband comes inside, he's building us a desk. Woo, worth all the scary shit, right? But he comes in and says, okay, the desk is ready to paint. So I just walk straight outside and go to start painting. Well, he goes to the bathroom and then he starts looking for me, assuming I'm still avoiding painting this desk. And so he goes into our like rec room and he sees my craft room door closed, which is not normal, it's usually open. And so he's like assuming I'm there, maybe getting paint or something. So he knocks on it, and he hears, come in, in like a stupid ass voice that I would do. And so he opens the door, and it's pitch black in there. We're talking, this is like a second laundry room to this house.
Was this during the day or the night?
This was during the day. This was probably maybe like 6 or 7. So
oh no.
Lights going down, but still bright out. And he just closes the door right back and comes to tell me, he's like, what the fuck? What is going on? So that we've told people about this and we find it hilarious. So then another like week goes by. We're catching up on season 2 of Mindhunter.
Love that show.
Oh yeah, everybody loves that show.
Yeah,
shameless plug. We all love that show.
Yeah, so obviously it's not the like cheeriest of subject matter, right? So I'm like, maybe I just scare the shit out of myself all the time and I see whatever I want to see, right? But we're sitting there watching the show and Nancy had just said something to us and then we had it pause. I think one of us went to the bathroom, moved along. And we were both sitting back down and I thought I saw my daughter walk across our balcony. So like where our living room is, if you look up, you see our balcony and you see my daughter's bedroom door and my brother-in-law's bedroom door and the stairs are to my right. So it looks like Nancy, my daughter, walks across the balcony and goes into her room, but I noticed something weird when it was like, got to her room, saw her shadow, but then it just kind of was gone. And then Nancy walked out of my bedroom, which is on the first floor, underneath the stairs. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now I've seen Nancy's shape. So that means we've heard my husband's voice, kind of seen him. He's heard my voice, and now we've seen what looked like Nancy's shape going into her room when she wasn't even on that floor. So we're real freaked out. At this point, we're kind of like, I've got like a poll going, so I'm going to like pose this to you guys. So, is it ghosts, right? No. I'm honestly of the opinion it's not at this point.
No.
That it sounded like
I don't think it's ghosts.
I was like, is it just
you're not going to like what I have to say about it.
Yeah, so then I'm like, is it eye floaters? Like, because I got some shit vision. I have eye floaters now, but the fact that other people have heard, and I've heard things that freaks me out.
Yeah, that doesn't.
We're thinking alternate universe doppelgangers, right? Or, which actually scares me more now that our whole family has been real obsessed with haunting a Hill House. We're thinking like, oh shit, we're bent neck ladying ourselves. Oh my god, how are we all gonna die? Because it's all of us at this age, and we're real freaked out. Is it like black gold? We're all losing it, or is it just like a glitch in the Matrix? So that kind of goes along the line of the alternate universe.
Yeah.
But no, it's freaked us all out. It freaks out people that come over to our house now too when I tell them about it. Just the fact that I've seen like movement and heard things, I'm just I don't understand it. From what I know, there's nothing that's happened at the house. I mean,
I was going to ask, do you know the history of the land?
Now that's actually something. So when we actually live not far from WTBA, and that, of course, that's the area of the tornadoes. Every tornado that hits is kind of in that same path. And so I was telling my husband, I'm in it for this house because it has a storm shelter because I'm afraid of storms. And he's like, "You're not going to be a tornado that hits here." I'm like, "We're technically in that diagonal path that comes through that area every time."
Yeah.
And then I think WTBA posted like a map of the history of all the tornadoes, and I'll be damned if that area is not one of them that I think hit in the 50s. So there's that kind of situation. It's near the mall, and supposedly that's all full of land, full of like dead servants, slaves, all kinds of shit like that out that area.
And according to some Leochi.
Yeah, who knows?
I was in the 1936 tornado that came through that killed like 200 or 300 people in Tupelo.
Yeah.
It came through that area.
Yeah. So we're close enough to that area that it could be tornado deaths. We're also within like a mile of the Natchez Trace.
And yeah, we discussed that. Yeah, that whole road is haunted. So.
Yeah, so the bad juju from the trace could just be lingering,
Molly, you in danger, girl.
Yeah.
What I was going to say, which you probably won't like, is that ghosts don't behave in this way. They don't usually impersonate. They don't usually. Well, or a lot of times they don't even acknowledge people, but even if they do, they usually don't impersonate people.
Yeah. That's why alternate universe.
It automatically makes me think demons because they enjoy messing with people.
Oh shit. I hadn't even thought about demons.
I know.
Because somehow I believe in ghosts, aliens, and doppelgangers more than like heaven and hell demons and shit like that.
Well, yeah. With our family, that kind of makes sense that you wouldn't. But even if the devil isn't a thing, I still kind of believe in
demons as far
as entity.
The entities that are malevolent. Let's put it that way.
So, like,
one of my favorite
fairies.
Horror movies is The Entity.
Yes, it's Mischievous Fairies. Go.
Oh, shit, yeah. Like,
yeah, let's.
I'm on board then. Like,
have you seen The Entity, the 80s horror movie with Barbara Hershey?
Probably.
That's based on a true story.
It's based on a true story. It absolutely is.
Of a ghost raping a lady.
It's a ghost that
I laughed,
but that was in our testing.
But he's like an extremely violent entity that just knocks her around the room. She can be sitting there just brushing her hair, and suddenly this entity has picked her up and knocked her against the wall.
Right.
It's super violent. Not
and
all
then
entities
raped her.
are.
Wasn't it happening like almost every night or something?
Times. Yeah.
It was
ghost baby.
Yeah, ghost sex.
It's easy to make fun of, but if it really did happen,
oh my god,
that's fucking
can you imagine?
I make fun to hide my fear.
Yeah.
Coping mechanism.
Story of my life.
Yeah, I know.
I do think if there's anything there, and I'm a super skeptic. I'm kind of like your husband, not to the point that I scare other people, because I'm kind of empathetic too. I don't want to go around making people piss their pants or anything out of fear.
Oh, I ain't doing that.
But being a skeptic, I know that there are things in the world that are unexplainable. And I think you definitely have something unexplainable going on there. If you have all seen that, you're not insane. I don't think it's you just being,
she is. She's related to me. She is
like
insane,
clinically
but
diagnosed,
not,
as a schizophrenic or something going on. You're sane.
You've met our dad, you know.
I know for sure. If it would have just been me, I would have just again played it off like eye floaters and stressed out.
Maybe you need to see a therapist, get on some kind of meds to even out these hallucinations, these voices that you're hearing. But being that the entire household has heard these things, it's not just a coincidence. It's not just something in your head.
Well, actually, the only one of us that hasn't heard or seen anything is the brother-in-law, Jacob. So the first thing, as soon as we saw Nancy, we're like, "You're the fucking one that kills us. That's the why we don't see you, and why you haven't heard us, because it's you." And again, going with that haunting of Hill House, you're haunting yourself kind of situation.
Right.
So just because we love that show
And
so
hopefully
much,
everybody's seen that because you just spoiled it.
I have not seen it, but I know enough about it. I mean, it's all
Spoiler
over
alert.
Facebook. and
Spoiler
everywhere.
alert
Yeah.
backwards, yeah.
I'm future self spoiler alerting you.
It's been out long enough. If you haven't seen it like
Yeah,
me,
no.
you're not
If you're
spoiling
listening
anything.
to this show
Yeah.
and you hadn't watched it, sorry, Sahara.
Yeah,
You
it's
should
fine.
really do it.
I've heard great things about
I
it.
know.
It is a good
It's
show.
good. My husband actually audibly screamed at a part in that show.
Really?
Like, he was like, "Yo!" It was one of
I
those,
can
like,
totally see him doing that because he's one of the quietest people I've ever met in my
Yeah.
life. So to hear him scream, that would have probably made me jump.
oh no, it scared the shit out of me, him screaming, but it just, the show is so tense and so good. Sorry, it's a whole commercial about Haunting of Hill House, but
Another
yeah.
shameless plug,
Why are we not getting paid for this?
right? All these
Come
plugs,
on,
dude.
Netflix, give us some money.
So, but then again, recently, like, we had like I had a few friends over. We watched The Ritual on Netflix last night, and then we watched Velvet Buzzsaw.
So you're watching all of these horror movies in a house after you have seen shit.
Yeah,
That's
again, you know,
story of our life.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind
again,
of
I
always
have
done
to,
that.
you know, make fun of myself to get through life. So no, so we were watching last night, and I kept looking, like, our front door has big windows in it, so we can see out of it. We didn't have the front porch light on because we have a projector, fancy, but you have to have all the lights off to make it like the best appearance, right? So we had all the lights off. The front porch light was off, but then there's a light on the like further down that was on. And I kept looking over because it kept looking like someone was walking up to our front door, but then nothing would ever happen.
Like you were seeing movement in the
Yeah,
light.
like it really looked like someone just walking up to the door, and I kept saying that, and then nothing would happen, and I didn't say anything because I had people over that were even scarier cats than I am. So I just didn't say anything, and then I was talking to Jacob about it, and he's like, you know, that happened to me the other day. We were watching a movie, and I kept thinking I saw someone walk to the door, and nothing would happen. And our dogs will occasionally go look at the door like something's happening. Now, granted, we have like horses across the street, so the dogs could be just
and a
checking
dog
some
that's a
horses.
horse.
Yes, we have a horse dog. So there's a lot. Granted, there's plenty of excuses for a lot of this, I'm sure, but at the same time that he's seen that too, and I think there was another day where me and my husband were in the kitchen, like standing over the kitchen sink doing dishes or shit like that, and we thought we saw the brother-in-law come home from work, and like I even went to go unlock the door, and he wasn't there. The car wasn't there. We could have sworn we both saw him walk up. So now I guess we have
You
seen,
have doppelgangers.
Yeah. So now I think we have seen all four of us.
Has Nancy seen anything? You didn't say anything.
No, Nancy hasn't seen anything, but I don't think Nancy would tell us if she did because that probably still get scared the shit out of herself if she admitted it. And she'd have to stop looking at her phone long enough to see anything else. So I think
Her doppelganger could be standing in front of her, and she'd be like,
she could be the doppelganger. That's
She
why
could.
she's not mentioning it.
Yeah.
Shit.
a twist. That's the twist ending.
Yeah.
The doppelganger is Nancy.
But yeah, no, it's definitely more than I've ever experienced. I've felt creepy in places before. I've only had one other occasion where I've seen some weird stuff.
Looked creepy in
I
some
know you
places.
said
Yeah,
the
I
No,
was
I'm kidding.
creepy in places.
I know you said the house was only built in 1989, but you should look at what was possibly there before the house.
Or
there
if
was
it's an
another
Indian
house
burial ground, like Poltergeist.
I'm thinking an old cemetery or something like that, or if there was a house there before that something tragic happened in and the house burned down,
No,
or
for sure.
some family murdered, the neighbor.
Yeah,
or
I don't
whatever.
actually. I know the people that owned the house prior to us. They were actually well-known people in this area. But as far as the 9 years prior to that, I don't know who owned it or what happened. And it's been expanded, so the original house has been.
That was going to be my next question. Have you guys done any type of construction or anything on the house recently since you moved in? Any
no.
updating? Any
Put an above-ground pool up. Our septic tank system's real jacked up.
like
I was
inside
like,
the
they
house,
dug
like
up-
new construction inside the house,
No.
putting up a wall, taking down a wall?
No, we haven't done anything like that, but they have been digging in the backyard a lot from our septic tank system.
Really? Okay, you need
Maybe
to
dig
look.
it up some
You need to go to the library and look through some scantrons and
Oh my
see
God,
about.
no library.
I know, right? I'm like, you have to leave the house. Why would you do that?
I would be looking at the history of the land because I'm thinking any kind of disturbance too, from what I've read. when it comes to moving into a house, if a house is indeed haunted. Any new construction or changing of the house can disturb the spirits, so they say.
Because it's so close to Trace, you might can email the Trace because they probably have old land maps and stuff.
It's possible.
They might be able to tell you something. Obviously, I wouldn't go in there and email them and say, I got a ghost, what, but
I got some ones for you.
Give me some answers.
I love looking at the history of houses.
Oh, yeah.
But just tell them you just recently moved to that house and you wanted to know history. The history.
Yeah, I know. And what's funny is, like, the previous house we lived in, we actually know the woman that lived there died in our bedroom. I had never heard or saw shit at that house.
Wow.
Other than, like, found a dead snake on the wall.
A dead snake on the wall.
Ghost for me. Yes, no. So that's a whole other story. But basically, it crawled up somewhere and we accidentally smushed it and didn't find it till we moved some boxes. And I'm like, look, there was a snake in my house. I'll take some doppelgangers and demons.
I think I would too.
Well, it spooked me because I actually lived in that room.
Yeah.
I wasn't even there at that point, but I was like, oh, I could have been living with that snake.
Where did it come from? Magical, teleporting snake.
That sounds about right.
That's a really frightening call. Teleporting snakes like that.
But I really do think that that's not a regular ghost. Maybe one of the other theories, but you know me, I've experienced a lot of weird paranormal stuff, and I've never experienced a ghost acting like that.
Yeah.
So I really think you can rule out ghosts because.
I'm now
does it get cold at all? When you see the things or feel them? I'm the same way. As you see, in my house, it's a morgue. It's cold enough to hang meat in here.
No, for the most part, I haven't really felt weird. Like, it's kind of odd. Like, I usually take a while to, like, soak in, like, I bought a house, so this is my second house. Like, I was there at the last house, like, 5 years before, and then we moved, and I never really felt like it was my house. But this house, like, the second we saw it, we actually found it online a year before we were even looking. It stayed on the market long enough for us. I was like, if we do this and get raises, we'll be able to afford a house like this one day. And by God, it stayed on the market. Our house sold for exactly what we needed to get that house. We really can't afford the house. We were like, we'll live hobo shanty style until we can furnish this house. But the second we moved in, it's our house. Like,
it felt like home.
It felt like we belonged there. So the idea of, like, an alternate universe version of us, or it being us, almost kind of validates that weird feeling of just like, this is our place.
You've always been there.
Maybe we've always been haunting that house, and that's why people left.
Well, there you go.
They just built a fancier, way better house and left that. But
I think that's going to be the title of the episode. Sabrina haunts her own house.
Yes, it's true. I can haunt your house too.
For a nominal fee.
Subscription to Hauntening.
Hauntening? Maybe that should be the name of the episode. Hauntening.
That's what this is. Haunting.
Now a word from our sponsor for Hauntening. Go check out Hauntening.
The investigation into the high school massacre
Parkland High School massacre.
At least 14 dead, 50 injured.
13 people were killed today in a mass shooting that includes a suspected gunman.
Coming soon, Active Shooter, a podcast that studies the psychology, motives, and methods behind some of the most notorious active shooters in North America and beyond.
East Alameda Avenue. They're saying somebody's shooting in the auditorium. 315 and 314.
We will discuss the whys, the hows, and most importantly, the proposed solutions. Can the proper mix of mental health services and gun access put a stop to what has now become an accepted everyday occurrence? Have we become desensitized and accepting of this new phenomenon? Join us as we break down each case and discuss the failures that led to each event and how we can identify and stop them in the future. Join us soon, and please subscribe to Active Shooter.
Ba-ba-da. We're back.
Welcome back, everybody.
We do need like a sound effect or something. I need like a soundboard to press, like a radio show.
Yeah.
We just need a soundboard of Sabrina making the noises for us, and then we can just press the button.
Just Justin, my impersonation of Justin screaming, yes!
Or no, also the one of you saying, come in.
Come in.
That's my favorite.
We need a whole soundboard of Sabrina. We're going to have to record all that and then just randomly put it in the show. All right, we're back, and I guess we're on to other stories now, since we took so long on the other ones.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. It's just, we talk a lot. We talk hard and a lot. We talk hard and long.
And I'm nodding like people know that I'm
Yes,
like,
she's over here nodding.
I will sit here listening to you guys' stories, and I'll be sitting here nodding or shaking my head with absolutely no input or voice. I'm just enjoying the
It's
stories.
fine. So at least somebody's talking, so that somehow people might be getting entertained. I don't know. No? Jeez. Thanks.
Are you not entertained?
So, should I tell my other story now?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not nearly as exciting, but it is at the same time. So, this has been a long ass time because I just don't drive down this road anymore, specifically because of these happenings. So, back in the probably mid 2000s, I had to take this road in South Tupelo called Euclatuba Road to get to where I lived all the time. And at this one section on the road, you have these 3 back-to-back hills. And at the end of those 3 hills, you have a field, a pretty large field, and a bridge in the middle of it. So you got some irrigation in between the fields, and you've got easily a good mile across it until there's actually a house. So you go over the first hill, and you see headlights coming. You go over the second hill, you still see those headlights coming your way, but closer now. By the time you go up the third hill, there are no headlights, and there's no car coming towards you. So I've argued with all my husbands about this. And basically, we've talked about, okay, so they must pull off the side road and go down the field, they must pull into a house, but just really judging by the timing of going over these 3 hills, like I said, they're back to back. We would see the car parked on the side of the road, parked in a field, parked at a house. You would surely have seen where these headlights went to, basically. So that'd be fine if that happened once, but this happened probably at least 10 times to me. It's always around midnight. It's always late at night. Going down this road, I've had people with me that have seen it.
I've seen it, actually.
Yeah.
I've seen it separately when I was driving home. When I lived in Blue Springs and I took that way to go home, like I saw it too.
Yeah, so I've gone over this area hundreds of times. The 10 times that I've seen it, I've stopped in the middle of the day, investigated, like, okay, could they pull off here? I'm like, I'll stop at the top of the second hill and just see, like, okay, I still see the headlights coming. Where does it go? And every time I've seen it, the headlights disappear. So that shit's freaked me out for a long time, to the point where I really stopped using that road because I couldn't understand it. I'm thinking like some Are You Afraid of the Dark shit, like ladies waiting for a prom date, he picks her up and the car disappears. I don't know. Just shit like that. And I'm not all about it. And again, I love scary shit, but I get so scared that I can't handle it. So anyway, we're telling someone about this because it's one of my favorite things that happened to me. It was the only thing that had really happened to me before the most recent doppelganger demon matrix situation. So we're telling some friends of ours about this story, and they just kind of turned pale on us. And we're like, okay, have you seen this before? And they're like, okay, well, basically the lady tells us, my husband was a first responder for a long time. And at that time, X amount of years ago, a guy and his 2 sons were driving on that road and went off that bridge. Mm. And I think the children passed away, if not all 3 of them. Now, I haven't fact-checked this because I just really don't want to know the truth, but based on the way the hills are laid out, where we see the headlights, those headlights probably would have been stopping at that bridge. And still not going to drive down that road. Don't want to back check it. Feel free to. Uclatella, it's one of those side roads in between Uclatella and Slab Road in South Tupelo. But yeah, no, phantom cars. I probably believe in that less, honestly, than seeing like a straight up ghost, because that's an object, you know. Like yeah. I'm probably most skeptical about that, but because I've seen it so many times, that freaks me out more than anything.
When we were teenagers, there used to be a road between here and, I think it was, here in Sherman, off of Old Highway 9, and you would take a right onto that road. I can't remember the name of it right now, but as teenagers, we all used to go down that road. There was a cemetery and a curve, and your headlights would hit the tombstone, and it bounces off, and if you look out the window at the tombstones, it looks exactly like this old car racing you right beside you. And it was just the way that the lights played. But as teenagers, we used to go down there just to scare the shit out of ourselves of this ghost car racing us through the cemetery. Right. It was pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, and that's something we've all discussed, too. Like, could it just be like a piece of farm equipment reflecting your own lights? And,
right.
But, I mean, you're on hills.
Right.
You know, we've never found anything parked in the hills, you know, in the fields or anywhere around it. You know, I even had one of my ex-husbands, like, it's probably someone holding, like, a mirror or something. Like, who the fuck's standing out in the field at, like, midnight holding up a mirror? And I'm like, damn, that's a good idea. I might need to do that to people. But you know what? If I were to stand in the middle of the field with a fucking mirror to scare the shit out of people, I would scare myself more than I would be scaring some random-ass people going down the road. But, you know, we've thought of a lot of theories, and for the most part, the idea that an accident has happened there and someone has died. Yeah, I'm good now. Don't want to know.
Yeah. Speaking of scaring people, you should talk about our old house.
Which, like, the house we grew up in?
Yeah, Dad's house.
Well,
Dad's house. I love how she says that.
Dad's house.
It's scary just because Dad lives there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's enough in the pond of bodies you guys are talking about. I'm sorry, the pond of potential bodies. Really, that house just that one always creeped me out, and I don't know anything about its history prior to us.
I do know that it was an older lady that was living there. I remember the realtor when I remember going to look at the house, and she told us that the old lady had died there, but she didn't say what room or anything. I just always assumed it was.
Glad I never knew that.
I always assumed it was in your room because of all the needles. I don't know why.
Oh shit! No, I forgot about the needles.
You forgot about the needles.
Oh yeah.
We always found needles in the carpet.
She had
it was a sewing room, but there were always needles in the carpet. It was like a never-ending supply of needles in the carpet. I don't know why.
I just needed some
needles and pins. I think we found pins too.
No, and it was that really like pukey greenish, or not green. It was like orange and brown shag carpet.
Yeah.
So like you never really could get it all out of there. Yeah, I remember the creepy ass shit you would tell me, like there's a hidden door in your closet.
No, that was both of us that made that up, because there was a space in between. There's a hall closet, and then there's 2 closets on the other side of those walls for Mom and Dad's bedroom and my bedroom, but there was a space in between that
there was no access to.
Our closets were back to back, but then the hall closet was in front, and then there was a space in between. So I was like, who did this? I'm like, there has to be like a hidden. Yeah. I'm like, there has to be like a hidden way to get into that, and for somebody made it for like a hiding spot, hide the drugs, hide the bodies. I don't know. But we always speculated on what was in that space.
It's Harry Potter.
Oh, that's depressing. Anyway.
Yeah, no. So that house has just always been kind of creepy in general.
And Mr. John told us that story, or told our parents that story about. It was a couple before. The old lady was left behind. The old lady was the wife of the husband built it. But they were so weird. They didn't really interact much with the rest of the neighborhood. But one time, Mr. John, I think Mr. John was a kid, or I believe, if I'm remembering this correct, is an old man that lived across the road from us. And he was always really nice to us and stuff, but...
Give me ice cream sandwiches.
I was just wondering where the paper boys
No, he was a really sweet old man in overalls. Like, he was just really nice.
I never saw, like, half of his house. I always imagined there was, like, a morgue back there for whatever reason. But, like,
I just loved him. He was so sweet.
I know, he was great. He would always have, like, those really shitty, like, vanilla cream cookies.
Was it like the Werther's Originals?
Yeah,
and
like
the
the
candied orange
candies.
slices and the strawberries.
Oh, yeah, he did have the strawberry candies.
And ice cream sandwiches. But he had cable where we didn't. And he would let me watch, like, Legend of the Hidden Temple. And I'd come over there and watch Nickelodeon after school. And he was awesome. And
oh, yeah. But he had told our parents, and they relayed it to me. Also, I guess either one could be full of shit. But that at some point when he was younger, I guess they had gotten into an argument or something. And the husband was chasing the wife down the road with a big-ass knife. And she was naked.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Wow.
Warhol could be so exciting.
I know, right?
But yeah, no, we had the people behind our house. The woman, like, accidentally shot her husband, like, 7 times.
Accidentally
No,
7 times?
she accidentally shot him a whole bunch of times, yeah. But she actually got off, and she still lived back there last week. Heard. I don't know for sure if she still is.
Hello, 911. I've killed my husband. Are you sure? Can you make sure he's dead? Bam! Okay, yeah, I think so. What now?
Yeah, so, going back to the subscription of Sabrina Will Haunt You, we actually did do a haunted house in the furniture factory. Our dad and our uncle built.
Yeah, they built it, and then it failed. And
it failed pretty quickly, but we have, like, a small furniture factory in our backyard. And so we're like, hell yeah, Fear Factory, or whatever gas name we gave it.
We called it, we went with a little bit more avant-garde, and we went with Sanctuary of the Dead.
Oh yeah, it was something
that was
totally,
the name of
totally
it.
cool and not lame. Goth days, guys, goth days. But no, we actually set up the building as a haunted house, it was great, right? But at the same time, again, scared the shit out of ourselves more than...
Yeah.
Well, actually, we scared a lot of people.
We had people piss their pants, and
One year we had, like, a 7-foot tall guy with a chainsaw at the end in the forest. So we would have you go down one end of the factory where it's like your upholstery lines. You'd go out one dock door, go through a cornfield, people, and then into the forest to a pond, end up with a 7-foot tall guy, and then you'd have to make the whole way back through the other side of the plant where it was actually...
and some people just ran the whole way back. Like, they didn't get a chance to get scared again. They just, ran.
So one of my favorite stories, we actually had, like, a line of something, I don't know, yarn
we had run twine. We didn't have that many people. We had, like, maybe 7 or 8 people running this thing, so we all had to pull double duties and go to different places and do different things. So instead of we had like one person in the cornfield hidden, and that person had a line of twine that ran the entire length so that he could make it move and make sounds while people were walking down the cornfield so that they would not realize that there's nobody there.
Right.
So we had a line run down through there and only one person. But then...
We had plenty of people telling us about movement on the other side that didn't have twine, and the creepy guy in overalls in the field.
They're like, that guy in overalls was the best. He was really scary. And there was no guy in overalls.
Man in overalls out there. We had nobody
was
in the field.
there?
But we kind of wondered, was it the guy that was accidentally shot?
Because it was right behind there.
Yeah.
There's like a fence that runs along there behind the factory, and it was right over there where the lady lived that shot her husband.
We've also had, like, dogs that have been playing with nothing in that plant.
In the factory.
A lot of creepy stuff. A lot of people saying they've saying they saw stuff even as they were volunteering. You know, we had people as like a witch coven and saying like, I saw some shit over there, and we're like, nobody's over there. You know, like just a lot of weirdness. And of course, a lot of that's the time of the year. It's Halloween, and again, you're scaring yourself more than you're scaring the other people. But just the fact that we've always had creepiness there, potential haunted bodies, you got shot. You know, it's just a fun time
Lots
out there.
of death.
Yeah,
Lots of death.
sanctuaries of the dead.
You know, I never thought of it till just now. What if it's ghosts of people Dad has killed that are out there?
I mean, honestly, I always assumed that. You know?
Well, I just always assumed it was like, you know, the guy that lived behind there or the old lady that died in the house or, you know, stuff like that. Other stuff from the area. But it just now occurred to me that it might actually be ghosts of people my father has killed.
It's the pond people.
It's the people that are in the pond. I had a dream about that recently.
I'm so afraid to go out there because he's there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe one day I'd check it out.
Once he's gone, we should go out there at least once. Maybe do an episode out there. Go drag the pond.
Go out there. Oh, shit. Break out his old, what's it called?
The metal detector?
Yeah, metal detector. He used to have one of those things. One of his many, like, get-rich quick schemes.
Yeah, that didn't quite work out.
Yeah, I know.
But no, I had a dream recently that I met some guy that came forward and said that he had went out there fishing a long time ago, found a body, or had seen multiple bodies, and that Dad bribed him with a fishing boat that he had. And that's why Dad got rid of his last fishing boat before this crappy one that he had, is he bribed this dude to keep his mouth shut about the bodies with his fishing boat. He's like, I don't have money to give you, but I'm going to give you my fishing boat. That's the kind of shit I dream about. That's what.
I have dreamed all the time about Dad killing one of us, Dad threatening to kill us,
Yeah,
showing
me
up,
too.
anything like that.
And now I have a security system for that very reason. But also at that address, I just have to bring this up because we're talking about that same property. My ex and I got accused of kidnapping a kid at that same house. And here's the weird part. She's related to that family. The kid got
That
lost.
was my first cousin's little boy. She had been killed in a car accident the year before. So the father of the child, they weren't married at the time, but the father, after my cousin got killed in a car accident, took the boy in.
And this was long before we met her.
Yeah, well, we had never met.
We had not met Sahara yet, and basically, my husband and I, the kid walked off.
The kid, and he was like 2 years old, and he wandered off. But there were a lot of ponds and things around there, so you know they were really afraid that the little boy had gotten into the pond and drowned. Which
yeah, they
ended up being perfectly safe.
They actually searched our property without permission. The cops just went through and looked for the kid without even talking to us. And they had found, guess what? The remnants of the haunted house stuff in the forest. Where we had fucking the little stick twig things from Blair Witch.
Oh, yeah. And this was all during Satanic Panic. This was, and every bit of it was the end of Satanic Panic.
Yeah, it was the end. Towards the end. It was the end of, I think they were late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. But we had writing on some of the trees. We had a bonfire pit.
Taking apart baby dolls.
Yeah, we had it was really bad. So it looked
you guys
really
were
bad.
Automatically suspects.
Yeah, well, we were already weird, so there was already a rumor going around that we had murdered this kid in a ritual.
Oh my god!
Because we were weird and we dressed all goth and so
West Morville 2.
Yeah, West Morville 2.
Yeah.
And that's also why we related to them too, because even after the kid was found 2 days later, dehydrated in some woods a few miles away. Not in our woods, by the way. But the people at the grocery store refused to serve me because they said, we don't serve your kind here. And I'm like, what kind is that? And they're like,
Mississippi.
Murderers. We don't serve murderers. I'm like, really? And so I've never gone in that store since then because I'm like, fuck you. For even assuming that shit and for still spreading that rumor, even though that kid was found perfectly safe.
And it was just some damn negligent parents.
Yeah.
Completely. That dude, oh my god, he was on drugs so bad. He should have never had the boy. Funny enough, I ended up getting the little boy after that. the police wouldn't let the little boy go back to the house. I think it's the way it turned out. Anyway, I ended up taking him for like 6 months. And then the father proved to the court that he was competent or whatever. And I was going to adopt the little boy because he was my cousin's child. And the father got him back to the court. So,
but anyway, that's another story that was just messed up. But that's also how we ended up getting into the West Memphis 3. And I even, at certain points, had donated to their defense fund and stuff because I totally understood what they went through.
Yeah.
Because I only saw a fraction of that in that situation, but the rumor followed us around for a long time. I would run into people from school at a grocery store or wherever, and they would run from me. Like, they were like, oh shit, it's that murdering crazy lady. And yes, I do know who you are if you're listening. I just haven't said anything, even though we're Facebook friends. Anyway.
That too.
There's a couple of them, yeah, that I'm actually Facebook friends that ran from me during that
Luckily,
time
I never
period.
finished high school. I'm pretty sure most of those people forgot me. I don't know what the cha-ching was for.
I don't know
like
either. Can you believe we're already at 21 minutes again?
Time flies.
That's crazy.
Scaring the shit out of yourself.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to do a few shout-outs and we'll end this episode. And we're going to do this as a two-parter, so tune in next time for the next episode. I'm going to give a shout-out to the Active Shooter podcast. We're going to probably have a promo for them in this episode somewhere, maybe in both sections of the episode. And Sweet Ass Paranormal. They're really good. A couple of chicks that talk about paranormal stuff, and it's really cool. I liked it. I listened to it.
Sweet ass.
It is sweet ass. So there's your shout outs for today. We're going to end this and then tune in for part 2. Talk hard.